Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar on grammar, a game changer. Today our presenter is going to be Sunil Solomon. Welcome, sir. Let me just introduce our presenter to you. Sunil Solomon is an English language teaching expert and an ACE language trainer. He has been teaching English in reputed institutions such as National School of Banking, Indian School of Banking, Vita in Hyderabad, and the Delhi IAS Academy. He has also worked in the English and Foreign Languages University and has an English teaching television program. He has written the best-selling Objective General English book for Oxford University Press, India. Welcome to the webinar, sir. Over to you. Let's get started.
Sure. Yeah. Good evening and welcome to all the participants. A very warm welcome to you all. Grammar, a game changer. Well, the very name it takes is from the competitive exams perspective. In the English section, arithmetic, reasoning, and other areas, the job aspirants are able to crack very easily. When it comes to English section, they are not able to do that confidently and successfully. And for paper setters too, this is a section where they can actually make their life difficult by tightening the screws and by making it difficult. For instance, reading comprehension passages or spotting errors, sentence improvement, whether it is sentence correction exercises, clause tests, all that. So now let us see how this grammar, which is an important aspect of English language, is going to be one of the important game changers in these competitive exams. Right, here we go. I would like all of you to please read this for a minute, and then we will go to the next slide. Please read this for a minute. Fine. So you see lots and lots of errors in this farewell speech. Respective sirs, myself. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Rhea, can I see the chat box, please?
Yes. Yeah, it's quite clear, sir. The slides are very clear.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
So,
Sir, maybe if some people can't read it very clearly, maybe they're watching it on their phone. Maybe do you want to, sir, just read out the text on the slide just once for people who might be accessing this through their phone?
yeah, that's what I'm trying to, do. If they can just have a glance at it. Yeah. So you see, there are several errors in this farewell speech. Respective sirs, myself, and then you also see passing away, which is one of the major problems in this speech. You also see some of these syntax errors where it says fresher feel, a fresher feel. And you also see junior than me. So likewise, very interesting phrases and expressions that you see in this farewell speech. Now, with this farewell speech in mind, let's go to the next slide. all that I am trying to display here is the major problems that are found in this farewell speech in terms of uh, tenses, in terms of syntax, in terms of self-introduction, such as myself. We will discuss these things in the slides that we are going to see. Now, grammar is a sentence-making machine. It's an invisible force that drives the language user forward accurately, meaningfully, and appropriately. According to Lass and Freeman, now accuracy, meaningfulness, appropriacy are the things that we need to bear in mind as we do this webinar. Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary defines it as the rules in a language for changing the form of words, joining them into sentences. Conventionally, it is syntax and morphology. Syntax, as we know, it is subject-verb agreement. And morphology is more to do with the structure of words. A competent listener, reader, speaker, writer will, if he applies these rules, he will be able to listen, read, speak, and write effectively and acceptably. Please have a look at the implicit, explicit division. Well, if implicit is more of meaning, explicit is more of forms, more of rules, practice, drilling. If implicit is more of contextualized and authentic language usage, which are not rules or forms, explicit is more of direct rules, practicing through drilling exercises. Proficient users, when they use these target language expressions effortlessly, they may or may not explain the rules explicitly. Best example is native speakers. One of the important aspects of mastering the grammar command, or the command in grammar usage, is automatization. It is swift and effortless listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Because you know very well that in competitive exams, speed and accuracy both are checked. They are speed, but they are not accurate. They are gone. They're accurate, but the speed levels are not maintained. I mean to say the time levels, time management is not done. They are failures. So automatization helps them in swift and effortless reading, writing, listening, speaking. And it demands practice and real mastery. Internalizing structural knowledge will be on an unconscious level, resulting in functional usage. Now, the very purpose of grammar teaching is to help them internalize the structures. Instead of calling them as structures, let us call them as grammar features. Instead of calling them as grammar rules, let us call them as grammar features. That would result in functional usage, confident, successful functional usage. So internalization, automatization are the two words. And then access to and practicing sufficient amount of samples is the secret here. That's the important aspect here. Unlimited practice or maximum practice. As we saw those two slides, implicit and explicit, prescriptive, descriptive actually correlate to those two, implicit, explicit. More of deductive, inductive. So prescriptive is a set of rules about language based on how people think. More of a prescription. We see traffic rules. If we break those rules, we know what will happen. So that is more of prescriptive. Descriptive is more of general laws of motion or laws of gravity, for example, Newton's laws of gravity. So that is more of practical usage. Descriptive is more of usage, and prescriptive is rules. Now, here comes an important aspect, that is an eclectic approach. A conscious blending of different methods is eclectic. It is need-based. It is integration of implicit, explicit, prescriptive, descriptive, deductive, inductive, and teaching happens through reinforcement. We know very well how important reinforcement is. We want the knowledge of a particular form to be established in the usage of the learner. We want the meaning to be exactly established in their usage patterns and the usage, of course. So conscious blending, eclectic is, we can use 2-3 methods as one approach, depending on the situation, depending on the need, to help the student and to give him the best in the classroom. Grammar enriches the understanding of the language system, patterns, and its use. It empowers to produce correct language and self-monitor, which is again very, very important aspect, independent language learner. Because the goal of all education, the goal of all teaching is to help the student become an independent language learner. That's where he can self-monitor, self-correct, his confidence levels would be enhanced, and that would result in fine-tuning the performance outcome. Now, FMU, the acronym is Form, Meaning, and Use. Complete grammar teaching will revolve around form, meaning, and use. When form is morphosyntax, meaning is semantics, use is pragmatics. When we say morphosyntax, morph is a word that is taken from biology, which is more of structure, and syntax is subject-verb agreement. And when we look at semantics, semantics are words, and when they are used in a particular fashion, what meaning do they convey is semantics. And pragmatics is the actual usage in a particular context, in a specific context. Now you see present perfect tense here that says the form or grammar feature is what you see there with has, have, and the past participle. The actual meaning is the result of a past action in the present. Usage part, last year when I saw you, you were short. This year, you have grown tall. A principal wanted to go back on Sunday because her father called her home to give her a new car, and she was indeed very happy about it. Now, when you scan this sentence, do you see all the parts of speech here? Are all the parts of speech found here? For instance, our principal is a noun. Wanted is a verb. To go back. Now, back is an adverb in the sentence that denotes the position. On Sunday, or on is a preposition, Sunday, noun, because conjunction. Her father, her can be a pronoun, father, noun, called her home, verb. To give her a new car, again a verb, new car, an adjective, new, and she was indeed very happy about it. So pronouns, helping verbs, indeed is an intensifier, very intensifier, happy, an adjective, about is a preposition, and it a pronoun. So language wants, or research states that let us look at language as a whole, not as isolated items. So if you can think of these kinds of sentences to give as examples for these competitive job aspirants, that would be of great help for them, where they can learn everything in one sentence. Look at the other one, which is of a similar thing. The rich lady felt quite heartbroken when her little Pomorian died all of a sudden. Do you see the phrases in this sentence? If yes, what are the phrases? What sort of phrases? The rich lady is a noun phrase. Felt quite heartbroken. Now that quite heartbroken is an adjective phrase. Felt is a verbal phrase. When is a subordinating clause here. Her little Pomorian. Now this little Pomorian is an adjective phrase. Died is again a verb. All of a sudden is an adverbial phrase. So there is always an overlap between language as communication and language as form. So we should not separate form, or we should not see form as a separate entity and communication as a separate entity. They both are overlapped. They both are interconnected and intertwined. Let's go to the next one. If you see these sentences, rules of use are important, without which the rules of grammar would be useless. What I mean to say is, understanding the meaning part, the FMU slide that we saw just now. So understanding the meaning and the usage part.
Also there with us, so I think we had that liberty that I would also involve him because not only was the session very.
Sir, is this at your end?
All the day,
is this at your end, sir? No, no. I'll just 1 minute. I'll mute everyone. Sorry, sir. Can you unmute yourself now, please?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Can we continue now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Sorry about that interruption, sir.
It's all right. That's okay.
Okay.
No, so far they were able to listen, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now the next one is more about rules of usage, which is very important when compared to rules of grammar. So all that I'm trying to say is, understanding the concept of meaning is equally important as understanding the concept of form or rules. So without understanding the concept of meaning, the usage and the idea and the knowledge of rule will not be properly understood. For instance, let's see the first one in this correction of sentences. Baby deer can stand as soon as it is born, but human child takes at least a year to stand on its own. Now, we all know that here, baby deer represents the entire class of deer, and human child represents the complete class of human beings. Therefore, you should take the indefinite article a before baby deer and human child. So a baby deer can stand as soon as it is born, but a human child takes at least a year to stand on its own. Let's see the next one. The town was full of gossips about the affair between the actress and the tennis player. We know that gossips is not used in plural because that's an uncountable noun. Gossip mongers, rumor mongers are fine, but not gossips. So it should be gossip. And the third one, which is very interesting, 10 computers in our language lab have no mouses for them. Well, Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary says that mice both can be used for computer mouse. However, if you feel it a bit odd and unusual, weird in usage, you can say mouse devices or mouse gadgets. So we can expect lots of these kinds of sentences in this competitive exams. I meant to say the mouses sentence that we have seen just now. Organize objectives and outcomes. Well, as teachers, I'm sure there are many teachers in this group. We know that there are different steps in introducing a lesson or we have different stages in a lesson plan. Similarly, in the same fashion, there is input, there is practice, there is production in the introduction of grammar or in the introduction of language items. See the first one. Ramesh has bread for breakfast. Imagine that the objective here is to introduce adverbs and teach adverbs. And the outcome here has to be the correct understanding of the meaning and the usage of adverbs. We can take an activity such as this. Use usually and say Ramesh has usually bread for breakfast. Ask them to use wide range of adverbs of frequency, such as occasionally, rarely, daily, frequently, on Sundays, once in a week, mostly, often, regularly, usually. Now remember, these time adverbs are also used in simple present tense. So there you see a sort of interrelation between adverbs of frequency that is taught here and simple present tense keywords that are taught in routine actions, everyday actions, daily actions, and everyday actions. So that's where I'm trying to point to this eclectic approach where we can use 2-3 methods and use it according to the convenience of the learner to give him and to teach him the best. Closed-ended activities, we have controlled responses. Examples are jam sessions, self-introduction, role plays. Well, jam is more about a topic, just a minute, as we know. Self-introduction is more to do with the interview part of it, where the first slide that we have seen, myself, that's where most of the mistakes are committed. Myself, Suresh Kumar, this is Suresh Kumar, or my name is Suresh Kumar, which is very school-going kind of thing. And that's where we correct them by saying it has to be I am, where that I represents the person completely, and that reflects your confidence levels as a person. And role plays, of course, needless to mention that they are very important in understanding the meaning and the form of the grammar items that are taught. Okay, all right. Method, approach, and technique. The acronym that I have used for that is MAT. What methods, what approaches, what techniques do we use as teachers in grammar classrooms? And what MATs are useful for competitive exams preparations? For instance, if it is speaking, it is repetition with or without substitution, conversational exchanges. Reading comprehension passages I have used here for speaking because you can read a passage, give the summary of it, essence of it. If you see the next one, that is Jack, jokes, anecdotes, and quotations. For instance, if you are introducing articles, you can as well say, a boy was standing, trying to reach the doorbell, standing at the door. A passerby, by looking at the plight of the boy, came to his rescue. The boy said to the passerby, "Sir, let us run away from here before the old lady appears with a stick in her hand." In a situation such as this, I hope you have listened to this anecdote. The regular job of the boy is to tease that old lady who lives in that house. So we say a boy was standing at the door, trying to reach the doorbell. A passerby, I'm introducing, by looking at the plight, by looking at the difficulty of the boy, he came to his rescue. Now we are saying the boy said to the passerby, "Sir, let us run away from here before the old lady appears with a stick in her hand." On one hand, we are introducing a joke. On the other hand, we are giving an anecdote, and we are giving the articles. We are introducing articles in a jovial manner in this situation or context. Creating meaningful situations, storytelling, substitution tables, authentic materials, collocations, call Paul, not to forget the computer friend which we use. I recommend and I suggest all my students who prepare for competitive exams to download thesaurus on their smartphones or mobile phones, because that's where they get, at one click of a button, they get the string of synonyms or the string of antonyms. Collocations, not to forget, we never say hearty condolences and deepest congratulations. We always say hearty congratulations and deepest condolences. Right. Let us see some more methods, approaches, and techniques. Reordering of words is one of the important techniques in competitive exams teaching. Scrambled words, jumbled sentences, that's where they will come to know the right placement of verbs, the right construction of the parts of speech when they are used in a pair, in a sentence, when they are used together in a sentence. Phrasal verbs, of course, letter writing has been one of the important items. Précis, creative. Clause tests are very, very important. That's where automatization takes place. Even this framing, correcting, improving sentences, that's where correction of sentences takes place. That's where internalizing the grammar aspect or the grammar item and reinforcement happens there. And that's where they will understand it properly and they will be able to use it confidently through this automatization, internalization, and then memorization, even memorization techniques, because they memorize a lot. They remember, recall, reconnect, and then reproduce. Okay. If you look at speaking aspects, it's more of joyful poems, elocution, sword chat, debates, discussions. Let's not forget culture and context while teaching grammar. SWOT chart, I mean, it says strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, regrets, and threats. All right. Let's see the important table. This is one of the very important slides that you should pay attention to in this webinar. Multipurpose English table. The technique that is used in competitive exams teaching is this kind of table. We take a base sentence, for instance, Rahul plays cricket every day. Under positive, that's a positive sentence, simple present tense, active voice, passive voice. Highlighting keywords such as everyday, daily, generally, normally, casually, usually, mostly, on Sundays, once in a week. Of course, this outcome is for the teachers to see what is that they learn from this table. Question tags, tenses, passive structures, syntax, common errors. Teacher is a director, more of a facilitator here. Learners are actors here. Let's see the first one, that is Rahul plays cricket every day. And the passive of that is given. Now, the focus, as I told you, if that is a positive sentence, a negative question tag that is highlighted here. For instance, Rahul plays cricket every day. Doesn't Rahul? Rahul doesn't play cricket every day. Does Rahul? And these question tags are used in sentence improvement in this competitive exam. Secondly, knowledge of tenses. By using lots and lots of these keywords, for instance, if it is present perfect tense, just now, so far, not yet, already, recently. If it is present perfect continuous tense, since and for, of course. If it is past perfect tense, by the time, or before, or after. And of course, if we are introducing future tense questions by next month or by the end of the month, by next year. Similarly, syntax also, common errors can be practiced in this table. For instance, when they use past tense here and when they change, some of them still say he did not came. And this table will be highly useful to correct those kinds of very common errors. I'm talking in terms of from the perspective of the student or learner. Didn't came, didn't wrote, didn't attended. Wrong usage of double past tense structures in the same sentence. Or he don't, she don't, it don't, where it has to be he doesn't, she doesn't. That can be wonderfully exploited through this table. Then past tense time frames such as last before year, last before month, last before week, where the correction has to be week before last, week before, year before last, month before last. So that drilling can take place here. That drilling, this is a transformation drill. They go on changing the sentences from positive to negative, negative to interrogative, positive interrogative, and negative interrogative. And likewise, they can do all the tenses. They can learn the tenses confidently. They can learn passive structures. Keywords, most important, can highlight common errors. Right. Let me take you to the next one. Now here we go with the important nuances of nouns. Let's read the first question. And if you can also identify the error in the sentence, you are welcome to give me the correct answer. From here onwards, your answers are welcome. You can always chat in the chat box. After a complaint was filed, police teams was given the photograph of the accused from the CCTV footage recorded at the hotel. Now, police teams is a plural subject. Any answers? Yeah, yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, someone says police team was given. Possible. Brilliant. Perfect. Fantastic. Now, yes, you are all right. I like that answer. Police team was given. Because police is seen, if you see police as one system, we use a singular form of the verb. And if we see police as individuals, we see police teams. That's the reason the singular of police is a policeman or a policewoman. This is where you exploit lots and lots of nouns. And this is where you introduce them things such as cattle, poultry, people, public. Go on exploiting it, explaining the actual meaning of it, of course, through context. And then also tell them why is that poultry used in. The basic concept here is if they can divide singular, plural, countable, uncountable, that's where they will learn 70 or 80% of confident noun usage. Let's see the next one. Undoubtedly, Socrates was one of the greatest men of the world. No wonder so many people admired him. Absolutely. Already I've got the answer. Someone. True. Brilliant. So irregular plurals is what I am referring to. So you can expect these kinds of questions. Greatest men of the world. It's not greatest man of the world because he's one of the men. Similarly, another common mistake that is committed, Yeah, I'm happy. Thank you very much. One of my friend told me about Oxford webinar. Is it one of my friend or one of my friends? It has to be always one of my friends. It is not one of my friend. Again, a common error that is committed. Absolutely, yes. I'm going to the third one. That is, all my old trousers are faded, and so I need to buy a new trouser. Now, yes, trousers are always used in plural, and this is where most of the questions are targeted at. And either you can say to buy a new pair of trousers, or you can simply say to buy new trousers. Now, the context, use the context to highlight the other nouns such as scissors, spectacles. All right. Most importantly, spectacles and scissors. That's where lots of confusion occurs. And then you see poultry. You see deer. You see aircraft, offspring. You see you see sheep, yoke, species. So that's where we need to tell them that these are the verbs that can be used both in singular as well as in plural. That means I can use deer for a single deer. I can also use deer for a plural deer. Most importantly, offspring. And not to forget sheep, or not to forget the yoke or aircraft, single or many. Let's see the last in this slide. In preparing my report, I discovered that last year's criteria had lost its usefulness. Now I'm looking for an answer for this one. Okay. Yeah, someone says it is criterion. Vijay Kumar, thank you very much. Yes. Shanti Srinivasan, criterion. Now this is where again the important noun should be exploited. Especially you see syllabus, syllabi, agenda, agendum, data, datum, and most importantly phenomenon, phenomena. So exploiting these kinds of nouns that are used. Now the meaning of criteria is standard by which something is judged. You also see past perfect tense here. I discovered that last year's criteria had lost its usefulness. So it is tense as well as subject verb agreement that we should use here. So the correct answer is last year's criteria. If we are saying last year's criteria, it had lost their usefulness. And as friends rightly mentioned, if it is criterion, then the sentence is as it is acceptable. Okay, let me take you to the next one. Now pronouns the important aspects in pronouns, the sequence of personal pronouns, if it is a positive idea, and in the case of positive idea and in the case of negative idea. Positive idea, it is always second person first, third person next, first person last. And we know that for a negative idea, it has to be always regular sequence. For the first person first, second person next, third person last. To drill that idea into their understanding and meaning usage, these kinds of examples can be taken. He, you, and I will manage this problem together. Now the correction, can I expect correction from anyone? He, you, and I will manage this problem together. Okay, I'll give the answer. The answer here is I, you, and he will manage this problem together. Negative idea. Problem is a negative idea. When you go to the positive one, went out shooting duck. It's a positive idea. It being a fine day. So you say second person first. You, he, and I went out shooting duck. See the third one. 5 brothers are at daggers drawn, so they feel it below their dignity to talk to each other. Take the context to highlight each other, one another, just like between and among in prepositions. The trio kept the secret among them. The duo kept the secret between them. Similarly here, 2 people, it is always each other, more than 2, one another. So the 5 brothers are at daggers drawn, so they feel it below their dignity to talk to one another, not each other. The last one, the board is likely to take its time to examine the facts before giving their decision. Board here is third person singular. Any answers for the last one? Can I expect answers from you? The board is likely to take its time to examine the facts before giving their decision. Okay, you're all quite fine. Its decision, yeah, absolutely. It's a mad dog biting its own tail. So help them in knowing the placement of apostrophe also here. And also one should respect one's parents, or the price of this mobile phone is higher than that of yours, comparison between 2, and you can introduce these things there. All right. Now, when it comes to articles, the interesting aspect is, in the given time, these are the slides that I could display, and these are the questions that I could bring to you. The uncle of mine, can we accept with that? Who is a scientist, gave me a piece of useful advice when I went to see him 3 weeks ago. The technique of this competitive exams is, wantedly they will increase the length of the sentence so that the participants' focus can be deviated and diverted from the site of mistake. Okay, somebody is saying not needed. Somebody said piece of advice. Okay. They wantedly increase the length of the sentence so that they will distract your attention from the site of mistake. Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Shanti Srinivasan. An uncle of mine is the right answer. Is a scientist gave me a piece of useful advice. You see, uncle here has to take an uncle. It cannot be the uncle. Similarly, you see, 3 weeks ago, I have highlighted there to introduce past tense structures. Yeah. Never have I watched such an amazing program as the one we saw on television. Any answers? On the television is the right answer. I need to rush because I'm checking my time, and I have also most of the other slides to be shown to you. It's not my business to give an advice to those who are not sensible enough to deal with their own problems. Now, to give an advice, can we say an advice to those? Can we say an advice? I'm sorry, we cannot, because, yeah, again, the same answer from the same person, only advice, because advice is uncountable. So it is used in singular, it is uncountable mass noun. So give advice to those, not an advice. So this is where we need to be very careful about those mass nouns. Let's look at these, some of the adjectives, which we always do in the classrooms, academic as well as competitive. My observation is that between Vivek and Shashi, Vivek is the most intelligent. Right answer, Vivek is more intelligent. And the common system that we follow here is positive, absolutely, comparative and superlative. No other student is as intelligent as Vivek, and Vivek is the most intelligent student. Same formula we apply for gold and Nehru here. Now, gold is more precious than any other metal. Yeah, comparative, absolutely. Any other metal. Positive, comparative, superlative is what the degrees of comparison that we teach them. Yes. Mr. Nehru was a most unique personality. Can we say a most unique personality? Is that possible? Most unique? Yes. Okay. Somebody said yes. The most unique. Okay. 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 No, can we use most here with unique or not? Yes, it has to be only unique. It cannot be most unique, because these are some of the adjectives which do not take any modifier or quantifier. For example, universal, unanimous, perpetual, okay, ideal, okay, round, chief. So these adjectives will not take the modifiers most. So it has to be Mr. Unique. Mr. Nehru was a unique personality. Let's quickly see the next one in the slide. By the time she gets back from the office or from office, the maid servant has cleared the whole house. I'm referring to a future perfect tense sentence here. So the correction here has to be by the time she gets back, the maid servant will have cleared. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for all those answers. I'm already into the next question. Will have cleared the whole house is the right answer there. The next one, the cascading effect of economic slowdown has brought an unnerving gloom to the real estate industry last year, but the industry is looking up this year. Deliberately, I've highlighted last year in this question. So it has to be the cascading effect of economic slowdown brought an unnerving gloom. It cannot be has brought an unnerving gloom. See, this is a common mistake that is committed. I have seen the movie yesterday. I saw the movie yesterday. Which one is correct? I have seen the movie yesterday. I saw the movie yesterday. Absolutely. I saw the movie yesterday. It cannot be I have seen the movie. So that same concept is used here. Because when we are referring to a particular point of time in the past where the action is completed, we have to say saw. So it has to be last. In the same principle is applied here. So this meaning has to be, the point has to be driven to the student, which I'm sure all of us have been doing. Now, the last one in this slide, when the robbers entered the jeweler's shop, the watchman on duty was fast asleep. Any corrections? When the robbers entered the jeweler's shop, the watchman on duty was fast asleep. Absolutely, fast asleep, fast asleep. Thank you, thank you. Now, let's see some of them in very perplexing prepositions. Now here where they are tricky, confusing, and important. When he parted with his sister at London airport, there were tears in his eyes. Remember, any corrections for this? Can you tell me, parted with his sister, is it right? At London airport? Okay, I cannot wait for you. Part from is the right answer. Part with is for objects and possessions. Part from is for individuals. Absolutely. Now, the second one, sentence correction. Poet describes about the beauty of the landscape in a very attractive way. Can we say describes about? Is that possible? Not at all. It's a redundant expression. Discuss, define, describe need not be and should not be used with describe about. That's the reason even in question papers we say describe the term, define the term. We never say describe about something. All right, thank you. Now the next one is he wants to resign his job because he's unable to cope up with the work pressure at the work office. Can we use the word cope up? Again, a spoken English mistake that we commit all the time. Is that possible? Cope up. Most of the Indians commit this mistake. Absolutely, it has to be no. Somebody is saying cope only. No, I'm sorry, it cannot be only cope only. It has to be cope with. Yeah, Shanti Srinivasan has again given the right answer. The meaning of cope is to manage, and it goes with the preposition only with. It cannot be used with up. We get confused about cope up with keep up. So please let us rectify this error, first of all, from the teacher's point of view, and then teach it to the learners. And of course, prepositions, there are so many, most importantly, died in an accident and died of cancer are preferred to kinds of things. Now, conjunctions, when we see conjunctions, yeah, in the given time, I'm trying to cover as many as possible. Not only comes here, first one, for shopping, but also for having a glimpse of the extremely beautiful view. So first thing is not only for shopping, you should bring not only before the first verb for shopping, then the sentence will be correct. He not only comes here we cannot use. He comes here not only for shopping, but also for having. That means not only for shopping, but also for having is the correction in this first sentence. Second one, yeah, you are still with cope with, I'm doing conjunctions. Second one, the reason I sent for you is because I need your signature. Reason cannot be used with because. Reason should be used with that. So the reason I sent for you is that I need your signature, or we can say the reason why I sent for you is that I need your signature. Nobody else but you might be instructed to prepare the balance sheet by the end of this month. Else goes with would, lest with should, and no sooner than. No sooner. Your questions, yes, we will talk about the questions after maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Please wait. Now, else would and lest should, no sooner than, hardly when, scarcely when, okay, both and, although at. These are the things that should be highlighted in terms of conjunctions. Okay. Look at the tenses part of it, which is again very crucial for these competitive exams. After Rajiv read the magazines and newspapers and watched the television program, he decided to go out and meet some old friends. Well, I'm quickly giving answers for this. Rajiv had read past perfect tense. We have to drill the meaning of past perfect very clearly into the minds. The meaning of perfect is past. Past perfect is a past in the past. So these are two actions, and in the two actions, which actions happen first, which action happened next is to be properly explained in past perfect tense. Simple present tense, yeah, had plus V3, exactly. Whenever we have a puncture, she just sits in the car and reads a magazine while I changed the wheel. Simple present tense. The correction in this sentence, anybody? It has to be change the wheel, exactly. Present simple or simple. Several guests have been expected to greet the couple tomorrow. Several guests are expected to greet the couple tomorrow. It can't be have been, which is present perfect tense, are expected, because it's a future course of action. Exactly, tomorrow. That's the reason I've highlighted that, and that's the right answer. Okay. Now, of course, there are so many things in this grammar that is an ocean. Especially in terms of syntax. This transformation drill, substitution drill, the vice chancellor and professor is on leave today. Change it with the vice chancellor and use and the professor where the verb changes. The vice chancellor and the professor are on leave. Substitution drills. Replacement drills, the chief minister together with his wife and children is arriving tonight. Remember, when we combine two subjects with these words, that is with, together with, accompanied by, as well as, the verb agrees with the first subject. The chief minister together with his wife and children is arriving tonight. No. R is wrong. Chief minister together with his wife and children is arriving is correct, because wife is singular, children is plural, but the verb agrees with the subject that is mentioned first, because we have used together with in this sentence. Together with in this sentence. Similarly, as well as accompanied by, also the same rule. So replacement drill should be done there. Audience is enjoying the show. It doesn't want to leave even after the end of the show. Well, a very tricky thing. Audience singular, plural, we use the same. If you want to change it, audience members are enjoying the show. Okay, so they don't want to leave even after the end of the show. That's the right answer. Okay, right. Now, the last slide in this presentation, of course, I have another one also to be shown along with this one. I have to stop at 4:45, but I have taken 5 more minutes. That's okay. Now, teach, learn grammar to empower the proficiency in listening, speaking, reading, writing. Holistic skills development should take place, not just to enrich the knowledge of grammar. Eclectic approach is the game changer here that I would like to highlight, because it's a conscious blend of different methods, techniques based on need, situation, through reinforcement. It is context sensitive. Language, first language is allowed. You can use sparingly as the situation demands. And let's not forget to integrate, to internalize, automatize, help them in doing all that with the help of eclectic approach. Teachers who love grammar teaching teach their students to love grammar learning. With that, I come to the end of this presentation, and these are the books that Ms. Shreya was referring to at the beginning of this webinar. Objective General English, the first edition, and it has been translated to Hindi, Angreji Hindi Sanskaran, and the last one that was published in 2019 as Objective General English, new edition. Now, you can ask your questions. We have 10 minutes more to go.
Yes, please type your questions in the chat box, everyone, if there's anything that you'd like us to, like Sir to address. There was one question earlier which had asked us whether we can give the PPT to you. So I just wanted to inform everyone that this presentation will have a Facebook premiere tomorrow on Oxford University Press India's Facebook page from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. So please catch it there. Also, we will put the recording of this webinar on the Oxford University Press India's YouTube page for you to watch as many times as you want. So please look out for that. So, sir, there is one question from Nancy saying that you were explaining about else. Can you explain that, please? Else within quotes.
Nancy, could you where you listen to this word else in the presentation? I'm sorry, but please repeat that question, or please reword it, rephrase it.
Can you explain your question, Nancy? Meanwhile, someone has asked us that are these books downloadable from the Play Store? For now, the physical books are available, but we are creating ebooks, and the ebooks should be available by mid-July or end of July. So please watch out for that. Please visit the Oxford University Press India website for more information. But yes, we are turning these into ebooks for everyone's consumption. Okay, lots of appreciation for you, sir. Everyone really liked this session. From Jaswinder Kaur, sir, there's a question. Please tell me, when do we use talk to and when do we use talk with?
Well, Mr. Jaswinder, it is always talk to, but it is not talk with. You see, this verb talk has to be used only with talk to. He's not talking with anyone. He's not talking to anyone. In this sentence, which one is more appropriate? Is it he's not talking to anyone or he's not talking with anyone? To is much better when compared to talk with.
Right. Another question, sir. We have another question. Can you please repeat the use of I, you, and he, the rules which are for this, for the use of...
Okay. Well, I, which is in terms of syntax, it is first person singular and has to be used with only the verbs that says go, all the plural forms of the verbs. And of course, the third person singular, he doesn't, she does, it doesn't. You see, it's a mad dog biting its own tail, or it's an automatic air conditioner, it switches off automatically. So third person singular. Most importantly, he don't, she don't is where mistakes are committed. It has to be he doesn't, she doesn't, and the meaning has to be properly, taught to them, explained to them with the help of examples. I hope I have answered the question.
Okay, sir, from Chitra Santosh, we have a question. Okay. This is about certification. We will be sending an email of appreciation to everyone. So there is no certification. Okay, can you explain the use of subject and predicate? This is from Thomas Senthil. And they've given an example. During summer vacations, we are going to Kashmir. Using this, sir, can you explain subject and predicate in sentences?
Okay, during summer vacations, we are going to Kashmir is the sentence, isn't it?
Right.
Okay. Now, undoubtedly, Kashmir is the object or predicate in this sentence, and during summer vacations is the subject. And most importantly, the usage of during here has to be highlighted by saying while the time is on. During that time, during that period of time, we we are going to, but you see, we cannot use these kinds of general actions in present continuous tense. We are going to Kashmir will not be, correct. It will be odd. We better say during summer vacations we go to Kashmir. It's not.
Right. Mm.
We cannot use present progressive there. We have to use there.
Right. Right. Sir, we have a question from Suchita Bhagade, which says, what should be what should be the path to teach or introduce grammar to early age children or to beginners?
Well, the best method is drilling is the best thing in terms of this transformation drills. And the multipurpose English table that I have shown you will be the best one, because it need not be, it can be taught for very advanced level students. It can also be taught for very lower level students. Introduce them the positive, negative, positive interrogative, negative interrogative with very simple sentences. See, the example that I've used is not a very tough one. Rahul plays cricket every day.
Right, sir. Okay, sir, there's a question from Hemlata Sharma. Sir, how can we increase the use of idioms and phrasal verbs in everyday spoken English? I mean, do you have any tips for that?
Undoubtedly, yes. Well, you see, language has to be exploited and language has to be used as much as we can. And nowadays, what I strongly recommend is especially WhatsApp English. Of course, you are asking about spoken English. If your WhatsApp English is transformed, your spoken English will be automatically, taken care of. That's where we need to exploit, because that's where we chat most of the time. And those things which are used in the, chats, I mean, to say WhatsApp chats, can be happily used, and use correct English as far as possible. Simple but correct English. For example, tip of the iceberg. That is just the tip of an iceberg. Or between the devil and the deep blue sea.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're texting on WhatsApp, try to use as many, right, as many idioms and phrasal verbs as
That
possible.
will take care of your spoken and written skills both. It will be
Right. Right. Good. That's a very good tip, sir.
a good speaker,
Um,
and a good writer is a good speaker. Right, done. Next.
yeah. Next is, sir, from Varsha. What is the difference between part with and part from?
Right. I'll tell you. Part with is for objects and possessions. For example, he's a miser. He doesn't like to part with his money. I repeat, he's a miser. He doesn't like to part with his money because that is his object, that is his possession. Whereas individuals, human beings, it's always part from.
Right. Right. Lots and lots of appreciation, sir, in the comments. There are two more requests about explaining the he, you, and I rule for positive and negative sentences. Sir, would you like to please repeat that one more time?
Definitely, that's something very important. I said for positive idea, it has to be always second, second person first. Positive idea, second person first. Third person next, first person last. He, you, and I will be rewarded for the good work that we have done. I'm sorry, you, he, and I will be rewarded for the good work that we have done. Whereas if it is a negative idea, the personal pronoun sequence will be, 1, 2, 3. First person first, second person next, third person last. I, you, and he will be punished for the, blunder that we have committed, or for the wrong that we have done, mistake that we have done.
Right. Okay, so this is a question from Kalamadi Nagendra. Which one is correct? First option is how are your studies, and the second option is how is your studies. And
Sorry?
can you explain why? Which of the between the two following options, which one is correct? First option is how are your studies.
Okay.
The second option is how is your studies. And can you please explain which one is correct?
Well, my dear friends, if you are using it as studies, you have to use how are your studies. If you are using it as study, how is your study? Generally, we don't use it as how are your studies. We generally use it as how are you studying.
Right. Okay, this is sorry. So here's a question which is useful. When you have very little time to prepare for, say, this is from Shikha Singh, so, say for an exam or something, which topics of grammar should we focus on in a short span of time?
We have less time, so what topics of grammar should we prepare?
Right.
Right. She must be from the competitive exams background, who must be preparing for it. Yes. See, the major focus is tenses, syntax, and prepositions. Focus more on tenses, syntax, and prepositions. And you see syntax, whatever I've explained so far, with special reference to this verbal usage and persons that we, and not to forget the prepositions, which are very true. For example, he died in an accident, he died of cancer, or I prefer to, or you see, the team comprises of, or the team comprises. Which one is right? It has to be always comprises, it cannot be comprises of.
Right, right. Okay, sir, there's a question from Megha Khera, who is saying that I can write better than my speaking. So my speaking is not as good as my writing. Why is it? Why is this so? Is speaking connected to lack of confidence? And if it is, then can you give some tips for enhancing confidence, for improving speaking skills?
Okay, well, Ms. Shika, the best technique here is you need to talk to yourself. Think aloud and talk to yourself, because you see, standing in front of mirror, developing your confidence, all this is fine. You see, you need to forget the world around you and keep talking to yourself and exploit. You see, you need to be a very keen listener. For instance, when I was in EFL University, when my professors used the words such as, I'm not saying anything earth-shakingly new, you see, I try to use this as many times as possible. Earth-shakingly new, are tight-lipped, are tongue-tied. You should be very tight-lipped. You should be very tongue-tied. How do we get these things? More by listening, observing carefully, and then exploiting them to the maximum extent possible. You need to have your interest for them. You know, you need to take it as something of a sort of meditation, or that's even a very small. You need to tell yourself that I have to and I must, and keep talking to yourself. People say talk to others, stand in front of me the mirror and speak to yourself, all that, but I say talk to yourself most of the time and be a self-monitoring person.
Right, right. Okay, so can you explain active and passive voice a little bit? Somebody's asking that. Actually, quite a few people have asked that.
All right. Well, coming to this active passive, again, I will refer and point everything to that multipurpose table. You can see that in our book. Anyway, see, passive structures are be form plus. We always have am, is, or, was, were, has, have. These are be forms, and be3 forms are past participle forms. We use passive structures when we do not know the doer of action. Number two, when we know the doer of action but we want to. Number three, the action done is important, not the doer of action. I repeat, B plus V3 is the key here.
Right, right. Sir, there's a question from Sujata. What is the difference between using can and may? And when do we use can I? And when do we use may I?
Fine. Okay, Miss Sujata, the difference here is can is formal, could is more formal, may is most formal. So if you want to sound formal, you say can. If you want to sound more formal, say could I. If you want to say most formal, use may I.
Yes, sir. There's a question from Ganesh saying, how do we improve our vocabulary? If you have any tips.
Ganesh, I don't know whether you are an avid reader. The best method to develop your vocabulary is to, even if you're not an avid reader, become an avid reader, wide, voracious reader. And for me, Hindu paper is the part of life.
Yes, sir. Okay, so lots of, I think we will end the webinar here. Lots and lots of appreciation for you in the comments, sir. A lot of people saying thank you to you. And we are also very thankful to you for this wonderful session. For everyone, all the people who are asking about the books, these are all available on Amazon, on the Oxford University Press India website also. And the ebook will be out in mid-July or by the end of July. So please check out all our social media platforms or our website, which is basically Oxford University Press India. And again, people who are asking for the PPTs for this webinar, we have a recording. We will not be able to share the PPT, but we will definitely share the recording of the entire webinar with all of you on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube channel. So please go and check them out there. And you can, if you have questions, more questions that come to you, you can always keep posting them there, and we will make sure that we convey them to sir. And thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful session. I think I'll end this here.
Thank you, Ms. Riya, for this wonderful opportunity provided. Uh, Oxford University Press and all the team, thank you very much. And thank you all the teachers. I'm privileged, I'm honored by doing this webinar. And thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, bye. I will now end the webinar. Thanks, everyone.